Alright guys, what is going on? inconsistentEmu here with Mountain Blade Warband. I was watching a playthrough of this, so actually let me hold on. I was watching a playthrough of this and it inspired me to pick the game up, but since I bought it retail, it's not in my Steam library yet. Anyway, welcome adventurer to Mountain Blade Warband. Before beginning the game, you must create your character. Remember that in the traditional medieval society depicted in the game, war and politics are usually dominated by male members of the nobility. That does not, however, mean that you should not choose to play a female character or one who is not of noble birth. Male nobles may have a somewhat easier start, but women and commoners can attain all of the same goals, and in fact may have a much more interesting, if more challenging, early game. Male, hunter. You were the son of a family who lived off the woods, doing whatever they needed to make ends meet. Hunting, woodcutting, making arrows, even a spot of poaching whenever things got tight. Winter was never a good time for your family, as the cold took animals and people alike, but you always lived to see another dawn, though your brothers and sisters might not be so fortunate. You started to learn about the world almost as soon as you could walk and talk. You spent your early life as nobleman's court. As a boy growing out of childhood, you were sent to live in the court of one of the nobles of the land. There, your first lessons were in humility, as you waited upon the lords and ladies of the household. But from their chess games, their gossip, even the poetry of great deeds and courtly love, you quickly began to learn about the adult world of conflict and competition. You also learned from the rough games of the other children who battered at each other with sticks in imitation of their elders' swords. Then, as a young adult, life changed as it always does. You became game poacher. Though the distinction felt sudden to you somewhere along the way, you had become a man, and the whole world seemed to change around you. Dissatisfied with common men's desperate scrabble for coin, you took to your local lord's own forests and decided to help yourself to its bounty, laws be damned. You hunted stags, boars, and geese, and sold the precious meat under the table. You cut down trees right under the watchmen's noses and turned them into firewood that warmed many freezing homes during the winter, all for a few silvers, of course. But soon everything changed, and you decided to strike out on your own as an adventurer. What made you take the decision was loss of a loved one. Only you know exactly what caused you to give up your old life and become an adventurer. All you can say is that you couldn't bear to stay out with the memories of those you loved so close and so painful. Perhaps your new life will let you forget or honor the name that you can no longer bear to speak. Allow me to quit without saving. Tyler, since that's my name. Iron Flesh. Power Draw. Put one in the writing. Looting. I didn't mean to put all of my, oh well. One-handed weapons and crossbows. I said this in the last attempt. Wow. That's not my hair at all. That's more my hair than anything. I'm not really gonna mess with this. Alright. You hear about Calradia, a land torn between rival kingdoms battling each other for supremacy, a haven for knights and mercenaries, cutthroats and adventurers, all willing to risk their lives in pursuit of fortune, power, or glory. In this land, which holds great dangers and even greater opportunities, you believe you may leave your past behind and start a new life. You feel that finally you hold the key of your destiny in your hands, free to choose as you will, and that whatever course you take, great adventures will await you. Drawn by the stories you hear about Calradia and its kingdoms, you Praven. And let me catch my breath here. You came by caravan through the heartland of Calradia. Green shoots of wheat, barley, and oats are beginning to push through the dark soil of the rolling hills, and on the lower slopes of the snow-capped mountains, herds of cattle and sheep are grazing on the spring grass. Occasionally, too, you catch sight of one of the great war horses that are the pride of the Swadian nobility. The land here is rich, but also troubled as the occasional burnt-out farm bears witness. You keep a wide berth of the forest where desperate men have taken refuge, and it is some relief when you crest the ridge and catch sight of the great port of Praven, its rooftops made golden by the last rays of the setting sun. You are exhausted by the time you find the inn in Praven and fall asleep quickly. However, you will wake before dawn and are eager to explore your surroundings. You venture out onto the streets, which are still deserted. All of a sudden, you hear a sound that stands the hairs of your neck on end, the rasp of a blade sliding from its scabbard. Whoa. Headshot. Sup, merchant? Are you alright? Well, I guess you're alive at any rate. I'm not sure that we can say the same for the other fellow. That's one less safe to trouble our streets at night, although heaven knows he won't be the last. Anyway, maybe you can help me with something. Let's talk more inside. Out here, we don't know who's listening. The merchant takes you to his house. Once inside, he stands by the door for a while, checking the street, and then finally, convinced you have not been followed, comes near you to speak. Let's talk to him. Now, let me explain my proposition. We've always had brigands in the hills, driven to banditry by war, debt, or love of violence. Recently, however, they've been getting bolder, leaving their camps in the wild and venturing into town, looking for unwary prey. The watch commander tells us it's because of all the fighting on the frontiers, fewer men to keep an eye on the streets, but I'm not sure what to make of that. It seems to me that the most logical explanation is that these bandits have an ally inside the walls who helps them enter unnoticed and helps them identify particularly tempting targets. Last week, you see, they took my brother. I don't know what my brother was thinking, a lad from a prominent house, out alone after dark in times like these. Well, I suppose you were too, but you're a stranger here and didn't know how bad things have become. He had no such excuse, but he's family, so what can you do? If you don't protect your kin, then people will start thinking you can't protect your investments either, and I can't have that. No doubt the gang will soon send word about a ransom, but I don't care to pay it. So here's my proposition. You look like you've had a bit of experience with the blade, and more importantly, you must have a bit of fire in your belly, or you wouldn't be coming to Calradia to seek your fortune. So here's what I'm asking you to do. Gather a small party, track down these bandits to their lair, teach them a lesson that they won't forget, and get my brother back safe. In return, you earn my lasting gratitude and a bit of silver. I'm interested. You won't be able to do this by yourself, though. If you try and take on the whole gang single-handedly, the hunter will become the hunted, I'll warrant. You'll first want to round up a group of volunteers. There's always a few lads in the villages around here looking for a bit of work that's more interesting than tilling the soil or hauling water. They'll follow you if you pay. So take this purse of 100 dinars. Consider it an advance on your reward. Go around to the villages and use the money to hire some help. I'll reckon that you need at least 5 men to take on these bandits. Very good, sir. I'll go collect some men from around the villages. Good. You can find me again in the tavern here in Praven after you've got your group together. Then we'll speak about what to do next. Alright, I think that's all I'm really gonna do right now. I wasn't planning on getting anything accomplished. And I'll talk to you guys later. See you next episode. Peace!